Okay, let's get super practical now, because as we know, one of the principles of this podcast is that every guest comes along with something they can leave behind that the audience can download and use immediately to make some impact on their work or their career or their life. And I know that you've brought along with you a questionnaire that people can go through. It asks some fundamental questions about where they are and what they want. Maybe we can just walk through that a little bit. And I know people can download it later to go through it in more detail, but what are the big high level steps? What does somebody do?
Mhm. So I mentioned this platform before, and basically I have given you the 3 areas of the platform.
Yep.
So the first one is the fundamentals, then we have the perspective, as I call it, and then we have the relationships. So the first one around the fundamentals is, who are you at your core? So it's questions around your values and your mission, and some kind of reflection exercises around that. It's also around energy. And I think that's very important. You know, what gives you energy, what drains your energy. And once we know that, we can plan accordingly, right? So some people drains your energy and you can't get them out of your life, you know, and maybe they're important stakeholders at work, etc. But then at least you can plan for that. Okay, so now I'm going to meet Eric. That's going to be a drainer.
Every Eric now who's watching and listening to this is thinking, oh, it's me.
Nothing personal. Then you can make sure you do something afterwards to give you energy. So it's like it's planning where you are in that cycle.
Okay, so you're not avoiding Eric. You're just approaching Eric in a different way, and maybe then adding something else to you afterwards.
Exactly. And of course, if you can avoid him, even better. But you probably can't. I mean, we all have people and situations that will drain us. I mean, we can't like live in our little bubble.
Yeah.
So it's more about managing your energy.
Got it.
Or going, you know, and I think a lot of people I work with is, you know, they have a full day of meetings, and you know, then they come home to their family and they're like, the family gets like this little wobbly, what's left of the person, right?
Yeah.
Which is not ideal.
Yeah.
So maybe you can do something in between, just to pop yourself up a little bit so that you can actually be the person that you kind of want to be at home as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because sure, we often think about work and everything that means, and that's a big part of everyone's life, of course. And then we think about family, which is almost sort of what happens inside your home, you know, your partner, your children, whatever your situation is. But then there is that third ground, which is sort of me, isn't it? The things that I do for me on my own.
Yeah, exactly. So this is different things. And this can seem a bit ego, right? That you have been working, now you're doing something for you.
Yeah.
But it's important, right? This is where you kind of tank up yourself or refill yourself. And whether that's going to the gym or doing a quick meditation, just to kind of ground yourself. There's different things people can do here, but it could be something fairly short, and also what we do wrong, most of us, is, oh, now I have some time to myself. Well, I'm just going to listen to a podcast. Yeah, that's fantastic to do once in a while, but don't do that all the time, because you also need to not have something and listen to yourself and what comes up.
Yeah. I recognize that. It's so hard to do nothing.
Yeah.
Given a little gap, you think, how can I fill that gap? You don't think, enjoy the gap.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Unless it's build your age, and then you can listen to it all of the time.
Exactly.
Great. So, so understanding my fundamentals is the first part of the framework. It sounds to me that's quite reflective. What's the second part? What's this North Star piece about, and how do I go through that? What do I take out of that?
Yeah, well, I would say the North Star piece is actually also part of the first block, because that's where do you want to go? You know, what is your bigger mission or the vision you have of your life? And that is, of course, a huge question, right?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be that we all want to. Well, it's good to have an ambitious goal, but maybe look at this from different sides, right? So it's your career goal, okay, and then you use your values that we talked about earlier to kind of also be the forming your behavior in how to
Hmm.
achieve that goal, right? But then it's also like who do you want to be as a parent or as a
Yeah.
partner? You
Yeah.
probably have a North Star there as well. So that's still part of the fundamentals. But the second block is around the perspective. And let's say, I mean, I'm not religious. I've never been religious, but in a way, I'm envious of people that have a kind of
Mm.
religious framework because it gives them a perspective which is bigger than yourself. So when I started on this journey, I became more spiritual, and that also gives me a fantastic framework where I believe that I play a small part here,
Hmm.
but what's the bigger picture? And you don't have to be spiritual either to have some kind of perspective. It's
What,
more,
what
yeah.
do you mean by spiritual?
Mm. For me, and I think that can mean a lot of different things for different people, but for me, that means that there is something bigger than us. There is something, the universe, whatever, something that's bigger than us, and
Mm.
that wants us well, that wants us
Mm.
to learn where we're here. So we're not just here for a few years and then we're
Hmm.
gone.
Hmm.
So I believe in something bigger, that we're here for some reason.
So is that, I mean, I guess there's a part of it while you're alive, and then there's part of it maybe when you're not here anymore. So is that about legacy? Is it about looking
Yeah,
after people?
exactly. So if you're here for 90 years, what do you want to leave behind? Who do you want to be remembered by
Mm.
and for what? So what
Hmm.
is your legacy? Exactly.
Got it.
And I would recommend, if you want some perspective, and this can be hard, read the old masters. I mean, like Marcus Aurelius, he
Mm.
wrote meditations when he was a Roman Empire, about
Mm.
2,000 years ago, or 2,000 years before Christ or something.
Mm.
Amazing. And, he was thinking the same things that we are thinking today in a more kind of stoic way, but it gives you a beautiful perspective.
I've never read that, but I've read so many quotes and heard
Yeah,
so many people reference that material. And I think part of me just thinks it's a bit clever, but it's very old. How can it be relevant to this crazy modern world that we live in? But presumably you're saying to go back, because I guess we're still dealing with a human and a human mind who's worked through the challenges of the day, right? So presumably there's still value in that material for us today.
that's the thing. I mean, I thought the same as you. It's like, but everything is you recognize. It's
Mm.
just human problems, right?
Yeah.
And this is the human mind,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's all about the mind, right? So we get 70,000 thoughts every day, and we can't control our thoughts, but we can control what we focus on.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? So we can either see opportunities, or we can see challenges, or we can see lessons, or we have that choice.
Yeah. Because I guess, I mean, right now when we're talking, AI is everywhere. It's this sort of existential opportunity, but also threat that's worrying a lot of people. And I guess if you go back to the Roman times, it would have been just maybe being eaten by a lion or something. There will have been a similar threat that you need to get through.
Yeah, exactly. Or a different, stronger group of people coming from elsewhere or whatever. I mean, depending on what time of the Roman Empire we're
Yeah.
talking about. But exactly, it's always been. And like also, if you then look at Buddhism, for example, where actually the enemy is the enemy within. There's
Mm.
never an enemy outside. It comes down to the enemy within. And
Mm.
look at leaders that have had power for many, many years. You know, power is not very good for us. So different things are not good for us. So it's what we do in our minds. That's what creates our wars and our conflicts. And so if you can kind of be more aware and focus your mind, then you will have a better outlook.
Got it. So what I'm hearing there is that a lot of this a lot of this process is about bringing things inside,
Yeah.
so that you are much more self-aware, um, and you can be, I guess, more deliberate with how you're acting and what you're doing.
Yeah. It comes down to, I mean, if we talk about happiness, if you feel good inside,
Mm.
then that is happiness. You know, once you don't need all the outer gratification, and it doesn't mean that you become complacent or, you know, oh, I don't want
Mm-hmm.
anything anymore. That's not it. But if you feel good about how you do things, and of course have a growth mindset, you still want to learn, you still want to get out there, but you just have a very different way of doing it, because you actually feel, well, I'm okay the way I do it, but of course I can, you know, I want to be even better.
Mm-hmm.
But you have that inner satisfaction. Then you don't need to look at what the car he bought, or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that promotion, you know,
Mm-hmm.
damn.
Yeah.
So it's just a very different way of viewing the world, really. That's
Yeah.
the big change when you have it inside.